Do you think that computers are a modern invention? What about sound chambers that can amplify what someone says 100 times or more? Or a flying machine equipped with a manual for traveling long distances? Welcome back to Fan Screens, and these are the oldest technologies that scientists can't explain. Greek fire. It's no secret that the fire is one of the most dangerous weapons a fighter can have at their disposal. Just think of a flamethrower, a Molotov cocktail, or a 1999 Smash Myth classic All-Star. All of them pure fire. But for over 700 years of Greeks found a new way to use fire, and it was pretty ingenious. Developed and utilized by the Byzantine Empire, Greek fire was basically an ancient Greek equivalent to napalm. When they found themselves in a battle, the Greeks would throw these unusually shaped grenades at their chosen target. When they ignite, the flames would stick to their target and were impossible to put out with water. In fact, the flames burnt just as well on top of water than anything else. Scientists have found no credible way of explaining that, and the secret was lost in history. Physics tells us that water cannot support flames, so how on earth is this possible? The fall of the Byzantine Empire in 1453 brought an abrupt end to Greek fire, a weapon that had at once been a hidden weapon of the Byzantine army. We'll probably never understand how this incredibly strong weapon worked. The Voynich manuscript. Some books are just impenetrable, aren't they? Maybe they're a little overwritten, or they're a language you don't understand, or occasionally they're in a language even the experts don't understand. The Voynich manuscript is admittedly a little more complicated than just a language program. This is a weird, unusual, and very mysterious book. 2/3 into the manuscript, the reader discovers a line drawing of a bath surrounded by pipes and filled with naked women. The next few pages contained more naked women in increasingly unusual, surreal scenarios, all of them accompanied by some strange texts. The only problem is that this text is complete nonsense. Since its discovery in 1912, the book has been looked at by hundreds of experts, from cryptographers to linguists, who have tried to decipher whatever it is, but all have failed. Experts remain insistent that this book is not a hoax, but nobody has yet been able to decipher its text and explain its meaning. The Antikythera Mechanism. The world of the ancient Greek was nothing short of fascinating, but the technological innovations that they created were really something else. Take for instance the Antikythera Mechanism, or as we know better, known as the earliest computers even to be discovered. In the 1900s, a group of sponge divers in the Mediterranean were forced of their unusual route by a storm, when they happened to be stumbled or swim upon an unexpected treasure off the coast of the island of Antikythera. A sunken shipwreck containing hundreds of priceless Greek antiques was just sitting and waiting for discovery, and the divers immediately began investigating these unusual objects. The most notable, however, was an uncrusted bronze hunk of something 8 months after its discovery. The object was found to be some kind of computer, made up of over 30 gear wheels. What it's for is anyone guesses. Scientists have been unable to crack its purpose, confirming that this is the most advanced piece of technology of the period. Scientists have run multiple experiments and investigations on this odd computer, but have turned out to be absolutely nothing. It seems whatever its purpose is clearly not sentient enough to share it with us. Ancient Earthquake Detector. It seems that whatever genius invention the Western world comes up with, the Chinese got there first. And thousands of years before, in this case, we're looking at the seismographs or earthquake detectors. And what's more, theirs looks better than anything we ever came up with. In 132 AD, a Chinese inventor called Zhang Heng created the world's very first seismoscope, designed to detect earthquake from some distance and without the need for the shaking of the device whatsoever. That's some tech. When an earthquake was detected, one of the bronze balls that sat inside the mouths of each of the 8 dragons on the device would be released, allowing it to fall into an open mouth of one of the 8 bronze studs. The technology behind this device is so complicated that it's almost not even worth trying to summarize, in part because scientists are still unable to explain exactly how the mechanism worked. The Chinese an earthquake was a sign from heaven that must be monitored, so it's no surprise that they came up with such an impressively constructed monitoring tool. It's just not worth taking a risk where heaven's concerned. Iron Pillar Delhi. In Delhi's QTB complex, there exists one of the most unusual and chemistry-defying metal objects in the whole world, the Iron Pillar of Delhi. The huge 7.2-meter tall iron pillar has stood over thousands of years, dating all the way back around the 300 AD, and yet there is not a single bit of a rust or deterioration of any kind on it. Nobody knows what it's there for and where it came from, but scientists are most baffled by the bizarre look of any sort of rusting. While there are many theories as is why this is the case, the only damage that can be found on the iron pillar is a result of people touching the surface, which forced the addition of vents around the pole. Codex Gigas. In many ways, a book is the original Swiss Army knife, and the Codex Gigas is, well, it's the Swiss Army knife to beat all others. The Codex Gigas is most likely the most massive book in the world, containing 623-foot tall pages and a whole host of texts. Not only does this whooping book feature the Old and the New Testaments, but also the book on exorcism, medicine, and a full-page drawing of the devil grammar. The Codex Gigas is also known as the Devil's Bible. Researchers have long been researching for answers in the mysterious case of the Codex Gigas, but they've come up empty. For all we know, this book was written by the devil, and he was just narcissistic. Japan's Atlantis. Deep beneath the ocean on the southern coast of Yonaguni, Japan, a pile of 10,000-year-old ruins lie submerged. Their origin is known, their purpose unclear. These unusual ruins were discovered in 1995 by a diver who ventured quite a distance from Okinawa shoreline, and thank goodness he did. Buried beneath the water was an arrangement of monolithic blocks, and that looks just a little too constructed to be completely natural. But scientists aren't so sure, and even ever since their discovery, a heated debate has been brewing about whether they're man-made creations or merely the effects of nature. Archaeologists, divers, media personalities, and more flocked on the sites in hopes to somehow uncovering the truth. But as of yet, nobody really knows. This could be the discovery of an Atlantis-like city at the heart of the Pacific Ocean, or it could just be a pile of rocks at the bottom of the ocean floor. Either way, we know one thing. This is something we don't know what specifically, but it is objectively speaking a thing. Ancient Indian flying machines. In our modern world of drones, planes, and helicopters, it's easy to forget that humans have been trying to fly for centuries. All the way back in Leonardo da Vinci and ancient Indians' aliens. Yes, aliens. Ancient Indian texts often describe that would, to our modern eyes, appear to be unusual flying saucers, affectionately known as Vinmanas, and Valixi as strange flying chariots that would typically carry gods across the sky. Obviously, this was a time in which many Indians were unfamiliar with what they would want to know, consider, and to be modern technology. So it stands to reason that their focus would be on the unusual skybound god chariots as opposed to aliens. However, looking at them now, these ancient texts are almost baffling to read as insight into how native Indians of the period viewed the unusual phenomena that existed right after above them. Experts don't have the slightest idea what they're talking about. Modern scientists have spent much of the past decade investigating the unusual writings of these ancient Indians texts, but yet there is no indication of exactly what these mysterious spacecrafts actually were. Nuclear weapons. Easily one of the worst inventions of the 20th century. The nuclear bomb has all about changed global military strategy forever. But was it actually an invention of the 20th century? Or has the world already been suffering under the constant threat of nuclear annihilation? Some conspiracy theories have floated the potential that actually nuclear weapons may not be a new invention but just another variation of a long-present problem, citing ancient ancient texts that describes devastating explosions brighter than 1,000 tons. These theories propose that actually nuclear weapons have been around since BBC at least, which would be a groundbreaking discovery if it would be actually be proved, but if that's not convincing enough, the theories have also claimed that unusual skeletal remains from 1927 were linked to an ancient nuclear attack due to their unusually high levels of radiation. That one is a little harder to dismiss. While scientists have often disputed claims that nuclear weapons have ancient origins, they've been unable to provide a credible answer as to why these bodies were so high in radiation before the atomic bomb was invented. Sound-Magnifying Ancient Chamber. The House of Lini High Podium is one of the Malta's most unknown gems. It's been certified as a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is frequently listed as one of the most incredible places on the earth in the tourism magazines, and apparently nobody reads. While the Hypogeum is notable for the fact that it's the world's oldest prehistoric underground temple, dating back around 5,000 years, most people know it for a different reason. The acoustics are terrific. In fact, they can modify a sound over 100 times. Those that have witnessed its firsthand describe the experience as being inside a giant bell. While the site is often celebrated as an impressive feat of engineering, nobody knows why it was built or how it was designed or even who used it. All we know is that people go in and their hearing come out in an incredible souvenir. Do you have any explanation for any of this incredible technology? Let us know in the comments below and don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for watching.